Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and I'm here to review Radioactive. And this is about Marie Curie and her finding radium and her whole career and dealing with the sexism that came of her being a scientist at the time, her meeting her husband and growing their relationship and their family. And this is a biopic. And this is directed by Marjane Satrapi, and it's starring Rosamund Pike. And this film never gets past being a biopic or doing anything incredibly interesting to set it apart. It tries, and it takes a different approach by having these scenes where it jumps to the future, where her influence is having either a positive or a very negative effect on humanity. And they felt so out of place, and it jumbled the storytelling so much. It was so distracting. And I didn't like them at all. And I'm like, this film should have just focused on the story because they felt needless. They didn't feel like they furthered the story that the film was trying to tell. If they were trying to tell the story of the history of radium and how it's changed humanity, then why bog it down with the story of Marie Curie? It really felt awkward in that way. And just a small thing, everybody's British in this, with British accents, yet it's in France, and she's Polish, but we're not going to get into that. But Rosamund Pike does a really strong performance here that really carries this film, because this is such an interesting historical figure, and Rosamund Pike is a very talented actress, and Sam Riley shows that he's a talented actor playing her husband. But this film is so generic, and the dialogue feels, there's so many moments that felt like I'm watching a movie, because it's like, this will change everything, and it's just like, were they sitting there being like, this thing, it's going to change the course of history, and or everything being told to her that it's so generic and just, here's a pressing of, let's throw in sexist comment here, and like, so much of this feels so stilted and so generic and cliched, the dialogue, and at moments like, this movie's boring, but there are some scenes that it gets a little trippy, and the cinematography is really impressive, and they do use the lighting of the radium in such interesting ways throughout this film. But like, obviously, hindsight's 20/20 of like, you shouldn't be sleeping around with a bunch of radioactive material around you, and it just slowly, like, everybody has a horrible cough until they're gone in the movie. And this film just doesn't feel like it comes together. It's trying to do so much and produces so little in terms of a coherent film that I was just like, I didn't really feel connected with this. And if it wasn't for the incredible story of her to begin with, and the strong performance of Rosamund Pike, and the really strong cinematography, and few particular scenes that showed some ambitious kinds of visuals and storytelling, this got bogged down with so much stuff that felt so generic and wooden, or distracting by cutting away to all these scenes that had nothing to do specifically with Marie Curie, that this film felt like a bit of a mess. And this is streaming on Amazon. It's an Amazon film, and if you're really interested in her story, you might check it out. But in general, it's like, this is a biopic that you could pass on. But those are my thoughts on Radioactive. Let me know what you think, and let's talk some movies. But thank you as always for tuning in and supporting your Wasteland reviewer.